Hey, welcome to class. Hello everybody. I think it's time for story time. My name is Nathan MacArthur. I'm a teacher in rural Alaska, and the tradition is every Friday I tell a story to my class, and they've requested that I record some of my stories on YouTube so they can watch them. And my former students, hello everybody. Well, I appreciate everyone's comments in the section down below. You guys are awesome. I got 5 comments. Yeah. Basically, I'm famous, so appreciate all the requests for stories. We got people asking about how I met my wife, and soccer stories from Arizona, and hanging out with my friends. So I've prepared a couple stories. I'll try to keep it around, 5 to 10 minutes of story time, basically. Don't want to bore you, because we all know America's attention span is basically 5 to 10 minutes at this point. Wouldn't want to bore you. So for the story to really take root and have an effect, you got to understand that I am a product of the 90s. And by that I mean that I grew up without cordless phones and cell phones, so when the phone rang in my house, it was a bloodbath. I mean, the youngest kids in the house would just run as fast as they could to get to that phone and be the one to answer it. And it was fantastic. I was really good. I was elbowing people. It was like dodgeball movie where, dodge, dip, dive, duck, dodge, and just running to get that phone. And you'd grab it and, hello, this is Nathan, MacArthur residence, Nathan speaking. May I ask who's calling? And you'd be so excited to be talking to someone. So exciting. And then, because I was the youngest, it was never for me. It was always for one of my older siblings or my parents, and it was great. I was so excited because maybe it was for me, and it was a continuous letdown. So I'd, hello, is Jenny there? Is Steve there? And, okay. And for those of you who don't know, I'm notoriously lazy, probably one of the laziest people in the world. And so once I'd used all that energy to get to the phone, it was like, I'm not walking to go find them. It's not happening. I've already used all my energy for the day. So you cover the mouthpiece and you would scream as loud as humanly possible. And my house was fairly large, so I had to get from one corner of the house where the kitchen phone was all the way to the bottom of the house where my brothers and sisters' bedrooms were. And so I would just scream. And we're talking from the age of like 8 to 18. I was screaming as loud as I could. And so that was the moment that I lived for, was being able to scream as loud as I could. Because my whole life, I was always told, shh, be quiet, stop talking, you're talking too loud, you're annoying. I was the littlest brother, of course I was annoying. So I developed really good lung capacity. And then I joined the Army at 18. And drill sergeants, they want you to yell. And so I'd yell, yes, drill sergeant. And they'd be like, I can't hear you. And I'm like, kind of getting excited. It was like on Incredibles, when the mom tells Dash, I want you to run as fast as you can. And the kid's like, as fast as I can? I felt that way at basic training. They're like, I want you to yell as loud as you can. I'm, as loud as I can? And I think I actually scared a drill sergeant once. He was walking by and I was like, I can't hear you. Yeah. And he just, geez. And I terrified a drill sergeant at basic training. That was my lung capacity. It was fantastic. So I was coaching soccer in Arizona. And we were having some struggles with the football players. They wanted to do out-of-season practice from like the moment school got out to the moment soccer practice started. And when soccer practice started, they would linger on the field. And so we kind of got tired of it, so we started practice at 4 o'clock on the dot. Didn't care that they were on the field. We ran around them. We did our stretches. They were still in the field. So as soon as stretches were over, we spread out and took up the whole field for, trying to help the kids understand. You spread out, you use the whole field in a soccer game. You want to go all the way from line to line. And the football coach that was still there kind of talking to the kids realized that we were doing this. And I said, hey, coach. And he told the kids, get off the field, which I was very grateful for. And so the kids, to their credit, got off the football field. And for those of you who don't know, soccer fields are about 2 or 3 yards wider than a football field is. So they got off the football field, but they were still on the soccer field. And so I used my outdoor voice. I let loose all of my skill in yelling, and I yelled as loud as I possibly could at these kids. They were like 17-year-old juniors, seniors in high school, big, tough, burly football players, and I just yelled, ah! And they jumped out of their skin. They just, what? And they ricochet, and it was fantastic. They were so terrified. And I didn't notice this at the time, but one of our girls' soccer players had spread out, and she was playing midfield, and she was right by them. And I couldn't tell she was there in the midst of it. And she didn't even flinch. She just stood there. Didn't even move. All these big giant football players are jumping out of their skin by her, and she just stood there. No big deal. And all the football players turn around and they're looking at their coach like, are you going to let this happen? And the football coach says, I told you to get off the field. Should have listened. And that was it. And that's how the story of Mr. MacArthur's yelling ability really spread across the school. Like, everybody knew that Mr. MacArthur, I mean, the kids, the track kids in the stadium could hear it. The band kids over in the quad next to it heard it. The baseball kids out on the baseball field, everybody heard me yell in the football stadium. It was fantastic. And that's one of my favorite stories of coaching soccer, was just getting to yell as loud as I could. Made me think of Coach Boyle back in like middle school soccer, how he would just yell. Just gave me the feels, gave me the feel goods. It was also requested I talk about a goalie training story. I was a goalie my whole life growing up. Middle school, high school, I played goalie. And everyone sees me. I'm 6'5", 330 pounds. And people see me and they say, oh man, did you play football? And I'm like, no. And they look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, I practiced football. I sat on the bench a lot. I mean, does that count as playing? No. So they say, wow, okay, did you play basketball? I was like, no. I completely lack the coordination to achieve the required skill of getting a ball this big to fit into a hole this big. I just couldn't do it. And they said, oh, what sport did you play? I was like, I played soccer. And I was like, yeah, I played goalie. Oh, yeah, goalie. Oh, goalie. Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Like, they'd completely forgotten that position existed on the soccer field. I mean, that was just ridiculous. So I played goalie. The reason I played goalie was I was the youngest sibling. You know how that is. And you just want to participate. So your brother and sister go out and play soccer. Like, I want to play. Okay, go stand in the goal. And then inside you're like defeated, like, oh. But outside, like, okay. And you go and you stand inside the goal and you're just like, yeah. And they're complimenting you. Man, you're so good. Look at you. And you're like, so you build this confidence of, I'm a good goalie. In reality, you're just huge. So it works. Just stand there. That's my strategy. No, I was pretty good. Third string, soccer. I was pretty good. No big deal. Third string. No big deal. Well, there's only 3 goalies. So you could also say I was last string, but we're not going to get to that. Anyways, so I learned a lot of good skills as goalie, but I just couldn't execute them. So as a soccer coach, I got to train the goalies in the theory of how to be a goalie. And they were much better than I was right off the bat. It was fantastic. And one day, I was putting them through a very particular set of drills where, as a goalie, you have to be comfortable falling to the ground. And I was the girls' soccer coach, so they always had long hair, and I always made them wear their hair up in like a ponytail or a bun. And one particular goalie always wore her hair in these crazy, funky buns. And I thought it was so cool. It's like, great, you grab all your hair, you just go, and then you wrap it up a bunch, and you let it go. And that's like the coolest way to do your hair I've ever heard of. If I could do that as a guy, just like, hey, look, my hair's done. No. Instead, I just cut it all off. That's my theory. But she always wore these crazy buns. And on this day, she was diving and craziness. And so she just gets up after a big set of drills, and she's just like, gosh, my bun feels like a ball sack on my head. And I'm the soccer coach, and I'm thinking of these big, giant soccer ball bags that they have to bring out. And so I kind of giggled a little bit. I was like, and if you think that teenage girls are more mature than teenage boys, no. Because every single girl in the field just stopped what they were doing and fell to the ground laughing. Because she just yelled. She's like, oh. And so I just had to giggle. And I kind of made fun of her for like the rest of the year about that. Like, it was just kind of one of those things we laughed about, And you don't say things like that on purpose. You just kind of say them. And then you realize the implications afterwards. You're like, oh gosh. And she got all bright red, and we laughed about it for a little while. It was pretty funny. Yeah, so that was another story that I thought about when I was coaching soccer. Just had some fun times. There's more, but yeah, that was kind of some fun times from Arizona. I think I'll look for some more comments down below. If you have any requests for stories about my life that you want to hear about, let me know. And thanks for watching. Appreciate it.